there, yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm coming to you from my living room here in Vancouver, Canada. So welcome. Today is Monday, July the 12th, 2021, and this is video number 116. So I've got some notes down in front of me that I will be glancing at to cover all of the details. It's been over a week and I haven't caught you up on what's been happening, and there's been a lot that's been going on here in my life, and that includes crafting as well. If you're very first time here at the channel, I just want to welcome you and introduce myself. I'm Gary, I'm the host of Urban Yarn. I've set this channel up to talk about all of my yarny adventures. That's in knit, crochet. I dabble a little bit in hand dyeing of yarn, as well as when I purchase my acquisitions from different stores and locations, either online or in store. I want to flag some sales that I find along the way as well, so that I can share them with my fiber friends. So if that kind of thing is of interest to you, please stick around. And to all the fiber friends returning, I just want to say welcome back. Wow, a lot has happened since the week. So I have one finished object to share with you. I have two works in progress. One will be an update, as I did show it in its earlier stages in the last episode. And yeah, then I'll talk about some life updates, and I'll leave that towards the end. So if people are just interested in the crafting side of things, then please stick around and watch that. That will be in the front end of this video. So let's jump into the podcast, shall we? First up is my finished item of the 10 days since I saw you last, or thereabouts. And it's housed in this beautiful handmade crafted project bag, which came from Kit. Now, Kit has a YouTube channel. It is called All Things Crochet and Knit with Kit. Hi, Kit. And I absolutely love this project bag. It is drawstring with a box bottom, and I have used this bag for a number of different projects since I've received it. And this one is housing a project which had used 2 cakes. So quite a nice size to put in 2 cakes here. And obviously the finished work is about a cake and a half worth of shawl that I crocheted up. It was to a pattern that I had in my Make 9 card, and people have seen maybe 3.5 feet of this in my previous episode. And here is what it was looking like when I showed it last time, up to about here. And it started off at this side here in the darker green, and the yarn that I used was called Durable, and it was generously gifted to me by Stitched Naturally to try out and give my feedback and sort of, try a new yarn on the North American market, because it is a Dutch yarn which is over in Europe, and they are one of the few people in North America that sells it to the market here in North America. So I'm trying it out for them. I absolutely love the yarn. It was a combination of organic cotton and an anti-peeling acrylic in the superfine 1 weight in the colorway called Pistache Pie. So absolutely loved working this pattern up. Now the pattern, as I mentioned, was one that I chose for my Make 9 card for 2021, and it's called, I'm just going to look at my notes so I don't get it incorrect, it's 2060 Open Lace and Work Pattern by MyPicot, and I will link any patterns or any YouTube mentions that I make in the description box below, as given always. That's where you'll find all information. So it is a falling leaf style lace work. And I had pretty much got to this point here in the make, and I thought I have only about a quarter of my durable cake left over, and it wasn't quite long enough for the wrap that I was intending to make. So I got another cake in my stash, and it was an Etrofil cake, very similar in composition to the cotton and acrylic combination from the durable yarn, and it was the same weight. So it was a superfine 1 fingering weight, and I continued on with blending the last quarter with the new cake, and it worked up in this amazing stripy chevron effect. I did 2 rows and 2 rows, and then I did 3 rows and 1 row into the new cake, so it sort of blended that way with the stripes. until I got to a complete full stop with the durable cake in the Pistache Pie, and I was then into the Etrofil color, and it went into the greens, into the blue, slightly aqua-y color, and then I stopped it here. I didn't finish the Etrofil cake. I still probably have half of the cake left, and it continued on in other colors, but I had reached the length that I liked, and it measures now around 7 to 7.5 feet long, and probably I'm going to say 20 inches to 22 inches in the width part. Absolutely love it. It's going to be gifted to a very special person who has seen the piece and absolutely fell in love with it. So the idea behind it would be to use it for a beach cover-up or a swimsuit cover-up. It could also act as a evening wrap. It is quite long enough to wrap around several times as a shrug or a shawl, and I absolutely love this pattern so much. It was a lot of fun making it up, or working it up I should say. And on the edge, what I had done was I used my stitch dictionary from, I purchased it was the Japanese 1,000 stitches of knitting and crochet, and I had chosen a crochet jagged edge, and it undulates with the chevron edge, so it's not a straight edge, it sort of goes in and out, but I absolutely thought that jagged edge suit the leaf motif in the pattern design. So yeah, I have some photos of it that I will add either at the end or throughout. I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this, but I took it away with me when I went over to Vancouver Island. That is part of the story that I'm going to add in at the end of this video. So I was at the cabin, and we were looking at houses because we're moving, and I was working this up in the cabin. So I've got some wonderful photos of this at the cabin. Yeah, so absolutely love this make. It's turned out to be quite a substantial piece, and I think I might make some more later down the way. Now, just to showcase what was left of the durable yarn, these are the two ends from the darkest end to the lightest end that I had left. So it's just a very small amount. It requests to use a 3mm crochet hook, but I didn't have a 3mm. I had done mine in a Susan Bates 3.75mm. And what can I tell you about this? Other than it was 55 cotton and 45 acrylic. Really, really nice how it was twisted. The strands of all the different colors had a nice twist to it, so they weren't loose strands. It was quite easy to crochet with. Sometimes when they're loose strands, they're a little bit harder to kind of get all of the loose strands together with the crochet hook, but I had no problems with splitting with this one. And the second one that I had added in was the Etrofil, and this is how much in the cake was left. I balled it up because I didn't want it to get all tangled. The number of the color is PZ005, and it went from almost like I'm going to say a limeish green to the aquamarine colors here of the green. So I kind of started at this end and I worked up to about here and then stopped. So I have the remaining colors left for other things that I can make. Yeah, so really love that make. It was so interesting. Now moving on to the whips. I am housing in this bag here, which was gifted to me at Christmas time by my mother-in-law. She made me this giraffe drawstring project bag and lined it with a green t-shirt. I absolutely love this. So this is good for a one skein, like a 250 grams or a 100 gram project, 100 gram skein project. So in here, what I have is some socks. So I'm trying out my first ever socks, which is awesome. These were cranked up for me as tubes and gifted to me by Melinda. Hi, Melinda. So the socks were made out of, it's called Soulful Stripes in the colorway green. And this is a fingering or sock weight yarn. It is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And what else can I tell you about this? It's made in China. The colorway is green. I think I mentioned that. And I'm doing a step-by-step, sort of like a sock tutorial based pattern, which takes you through how to do the cuffs, how to cut for the heel, how to pick up the stitches, and then knit up the heel, and then where to kind of like measure for the toe to begin. So I have done the first part here, which was on sort of like loose thread that you wind off, and I captured the stitches up here and added in the cuffs. So what I'm choosing to do as my cuffs, heels and toes is this kind of a brownish color, a gray brown, and it's in the Drops Fable Unicolor collection. I really love this color. It suits the, I wanted the sock itself to retain the attention and have something more quiet and muted for the cuffs, heel and toe. And the colorway of this one is 300, and I picked this up from Penelope Yarn, which is Penelope Yarns, I think it was called. And it was down in White Rock, which is a couple of suburbs or towns away from Vancouver, about a 45-minute drive, and it's a local yarn store from down there. So picked up these for a steal at $5.95 Canadian. So thank you, Melinda, for sending this. It's really giving me the encouragement to try tackling socks for the very first time. So what else can I tell you about the make of this one? I guess the needles that I used were a 9-inch needle, circular needle, and they were in the size of 2.75 millimeters. So very, very small and intricate needle set. They were from the Knit Pro, sorry. This is what I used. And they were metal tipped needles. Really, really nice to use. But as I mentioned, like because it's such a tight turn, the movements were restricted somewhat with the needle tips. So yeah, I'm going to be moving on to double pointed needles for the heel, just so that I can manage creating the heel a little bit more as an open space and area to work with, rather than trying to do all the work with these very small needles here. Yeah, so that was in that bag. The next one that I have is housed in my Billy the Floridian, the Crafty Floridian bag, and this was generously gifted to me by our friend Penny Bolton. So hi Penny, thank you so much for this beautiful bag. It is great for, I think there's around about 6 50-gram balls of yarn in this little project bag here. So my project is actually out of the bag right now, but the remaining hanks that I'm going to go through and balls of yarn are inside of that Billy bag. So yeah, here it is here. You saw the section 1 completed of the Vertices Unite, which is a knitted pattern by Stephen West. And so I finished section 2 and now I'm starting section 3. So I guess I'll just talk about section 2 right now, which is this. And looking at the right side instead of the wrong side, section 2 of the Vertices Unite is this 2 colors that I had chosen, my C and D in the purple and a indigo blue, which is, it's speckled with a bit of variegation between gray and also I think there's speckles of magenta in it as well. So absolutely love these 2 colors worked up together. let's have a look at the yarn. So the first one being the Imperial or the Royal Purple is this yarn here, and this was generously gifted to me by our Tracy Fowler, so thank you, Tracy. This yarn is amazing. It's the Vitellana Knit Crate yarn, and the collection is called Linen Jewel. So Linen Jewel in the colorway Midsummer Rose. Those are the stats there if you are interested in finding out more about this yarn. It's the very first yarn that I've used that has linen in it, and I absolutely enjoyed working with it. It was a little tricky in one point when I had dropped a stitch. I couldn't find where the stitch was because I'm using two dark yarns and it was quite late at night. And before I knew it, the stitch had actually dropped about 6 or 7 rows down. And I was having a difficult time locating where it was, but I love the yarn. The yarn turns out to be a lovely fabric, and once I pulled back to the beginning again of the section, I re-knitted it and it was absolutely fine. I did it during the day and I could see my stitches more clearly. The second, which is color D, is this one here. It's a variegated and speckled yarn, which is what I cooked up in the kitchen. And I've named this colorway Master of Ceremonies after the character which is in the Hunger Games. Now, the Hunger Games started off as a book, a series of books, and then they made them into movies. So the character, Master of Ceremonies, was quite luminous in the purples and the blues, so that's what he dressed with, and also his color, the hair color that he used was in this purplish blue kind of color, and so I got these colorways inspired by that character. So this yarn was from a Dyer supplier, which is the yarn supplier base that I think they supply Knit Crate. But yeah, I got it from Dyer Supplier, and it's a fingering weight yarn. I believe it is a combination of nylon and superwash merino. So this is it here, how it worked up together. Really enjoy that, and it feels really lovely with the linen in it. Yeah. So up to section 3. I'm making the Vertices Unite by Stephen West for a make-along, and it is a make-along which has a hashtag to it. The hashtag is hashtag Hustlers Unite Cal, so K-A-L, because it is a knit-along, and the guys down at Fiber Hustle, they are hosting this Cal. Hi, Chip and Erin. And yeah, it goes up until, I believe, the first week of August, and I will leave the detailed description of Chip and Erin talking about the Cal if you want to join in on the make along. So just use the hashtag and you'll be able to, I guess, include your piece into that make along, or knit along, I should say. It's a knit along. So absolutely love it. Yeah. Looking forward to section 3 of the Vertices Unite. I'm using 2 colors and I'm going to be striping them together, even though that the pattern only calls for the 1 color. And it is what I believe Stephen West is calling the entertainment for the evening. So he has this wonderful story about section 1 being the 2 that go out on a date. So you choose yarn A and yarn B that are going to blend very nicely and create this energy. Then section 2, as he has described it, are the 2 colors, so C and D, which are the chaperones to the evening out that the A and B are going on. And section 3 is the entertainment. So section 3, even though it did only call for 1 in the pattern, 1 colorway, I'm going to blend 2. So this one here is this will be my E and my F. So another cooked up colorway dye that I put together in the kitchen based on the Hunger Games. Again, different character. It's Katniss, the girl on fire, and this colorway here has the scarlet, a little bit of deep oranges and burnt crimson, so hence the name Girl on Fire. And I'm pairing it with a stripe of color with the pomegranate colorway, and this is from Willow Yarns in the Stream collection, and the colorway is pomegranate. I have to hold this double because it is a lace weight yarn, which is a lighter weight than it calls for, so I hold two together to make it the fingering weight. So really can't wait to try the third section out and get that going on the needles. So I guess that catches you up on all of the works. So that's the one finished object and the two works in progress. So now that the crafting side of things is done and I've caught you up on my works in progress and my finished item, I'm going to be chatting a little bit about a little bit of my life, what's going on, and I hope that you'll stick around for it. But I understand, you know, time is of our essence and we have so many important things to do. So I appreciate if you have watched me up to this point and need to head off and do your own thing. So, but you're welcome to stay, sit and enjoy for the next little while I catch up on what I've been doing. So the next thing that I'm talking about is other YouTube events that I've either taken part of or joined in with, and there's some exciting news on a summer soiree or a summer party. There was a live that Reggie hosted from J Hook Crochet. Hi Reggie. And we were answering some interesting questions, some fun facts, and there were probably around 60 of us enjoying Reggie's little soiree that she held, and she had some prizes. So I was fortunate enough to answer one correct question, and then the number generator landed on me and I was generously donated a prize of a pattern, and the pattern is David Browning's shawl pattern, and I am going to plan to make that probably next month in August. And I'm really looking forward to that because I've seen some of the prototypes that David had presented on his channel and it looks like an amazing shawl. So can't wait to do that, David. Thank you for the donation of your pattern to the soiree that Reggie held. And just last night, I joined a live with some amazing people from Fiberfloozy, and that's Jill. She's the host of the Fiberfloozy channel, and she had a lineup of amazing people on her panel and also guests in her chat room. So I joined in and I was chatting away with all of them, and I actually made an appearance. Now, this is the first time I've ever done it. My heart was beating out of my chest because of these amazing individuals that, you know, hold to such esteem and respect, and one of them being my first mentor, and she's my guru, she's my crochet queen, and that is Crystal from Bag a Day. She was also up on the panel. So yeah, I was starstruck and tongue-tied. I didn't quite know what to say. So it was quite an awkward moment for me, but now it's done. I can say I have done a live, and thank you to Jill for the invitation and being such a perfect host. So yeah, they have a bot along which is in conjunction with Jill from Fiberfloozy as well as Daniel from the Poor Ply Guy. I will try and find where the introductory videos are from both of those channels, and I'll add it down below. So if you're inclined to perhaps maybe crochet up one of Bag o' Day's wonderful patterns or tutorials, that's what's happening. And I believe there are some prizes. I'm not too sure. I don't want to speak out of term, but I will include the link down below if you're interested in joining. I'm thinking of doing something as well to join in on that fun. Now, I'm going to be talking a little bit about other life circles that I've been going through, and decisions and fun things, as well as some sort of like tough life choices that I've made in the last little while. Now, pottery has opened up again. Now, for people who are new here and they may not know, I am a potter as well. So I've been doing pottery longer than I have been doing knitting and crocheting. Maybe 7 years ago, I started pottery. And since the pandemic and the shutting down of all the community centers, it had been locked up and closed for over a year. And just about a month ago, volunteers were invited to come back to do the orientation of the new procedures to kind of make everything safe. And they opened it up for me to come back and do the volunteering orientation, but I hadn't had my second injection or my second vaccination. So I withheld from doing the volunteering, but now I know that I'm actually officially leaving the city. I'm thinking I have to miss out on the pottery, going back down there and doing all of that training, because in a month's time, I'm not going to be in the city anymore. And I'll get to that a little bit later. So that was a tough decision for me to make as well, just to, you know, have to say goodbye to that portion of what was a big part of me in my crafting. I will be going down to say goodbye and farewell to all of the friends that I've made over the 7 years in the studio, down in the pottery studio. So that's going to be quite, it's going to be a sad moment for me, but we will keep in contact, I'm sure, and continue correspondence. I made some really good friends there. The other thing that I want to talk about is I just recently got my double vaccination. So my second one happened on last Friday, and the first vaccination I didn't feel or have any symptoms of the dosage that was given to me, and the second one I did. Like the next day I had felt the joint pains and was feeling quite feverish and had this throbbing headache. So I stayed in bed for maybe about 10 hours throughout the whole day. I got up for a little something to eat and then went back to bed and slept throughout the whole night. So it was something that I had to work out through my system, I guess. So it was working. I was fighting it and building up my immune system. So that was a good thing. The other thing was mentioned before earlier in the podcast. I went to the cabin on the Vancouver Island, and the majority of the reason why I went there was to look for a home. So Chad and I, who's my husband, we went over to Vancouver Island and we went to, I believe there were like 4 home openings, like house openings, to take a look at in this area which we're going to move into. And we fell in love with one of the places, put in an offer. We were lucky enough for it to be accepted. So a few more hoops to jump through before we can call it our own, but we are so positive and optimistic that things will go through okay, and we will be moving in September. So that is awesome, like a weight off our shoulders as well. Other new things to think about along the way is to pack up, you know, think about what we want to take, what we want to maybe put on Marketplace to sell, to donate, to make the trip a little easier, because it is around maybe about a 3-hour to 4-hour travel between door to door, and it includes a 40-minute drive to the ferry, 2-hour ferry, and then another 40 minutes. So it's probably closer to 4 hours of commuting from one spot to the other. The other things that I want to catch you up on as well is, the 2 winners of the amigurumi have contacted me, and as we know, Alice was the first one, and I sent that out a couple weeks back, and I think it might be with Alice now. The second one being Vilma from the Netherlands, so I just sent her one out on Friday. So it's just been a couple days, and I'm thinking because it needs to go to Europe, it might be about maybe 2 or 3 more weeks, and then it'll arrive to Vilma. So I hope that they enjoy their prizes. I believe that's catches you up on everything that's going on. A little bit of a recap on my 2 glasses that I purchased. I just got a new prescription and went to get some new frames. My first frame, these ones worked out really well. The second frames had a curvature to the frames, so it made me feel like I was walking around in a fishbowl, so it really gave me headaches. And I took it back to Costco and I told them about my problem with the glasses in hand, and they did some heating up of the frames and tried to flatten the frame out. It worked for a little bit, but during the course of the day, I think it has memory, so it's just sort of curving back in on itself again. So it has the arc happening. So I'm gonna have to take them back and ask them to get a credit or a new frame style, because that's not gonna work for me. And with that, I think that catches you up on everything. I hope everyone's staying safe and enjoying their July. I know this year has gone so quickly. So embrace every moment that you can, enjoy yourself, enjoy your week, and I will catch you up in the next episode, which will be coming up soon, because I have a couple of acquisitions that I purchased that I want to really showcase, because I'm so thrilled with the purchases that I make. And sometimes when you make the purchases from a photograph, you don't know exactly what it's going to feel like or what you're going to receive. So I'm happy to report that some of these worked out to be better than expected. So yeah, I'll catch you up on those things shortly. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.